It's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing because you kind of see it from both ends because it wasn't that the organizations I were at were bad. I mean, yeah, I had a bad boss, and I always tell a lot of people that are still in the corporate world, like, hey, going out there and finding your dream job is different than finding your dream career. You can find your dream career um pretty, I'm not going to say easily, but that will evolve over time. For instance, me doing, the graphic design and wanting to the visual communications, and that's even evolved. But that was my career path. I love the fascination, but finding a dream job is really hard because you kind of get to a point where you might have a bad culture you're working for. You may, have just a bad seed in the situation that's just not have good leadership skills. And so sometimes it's not really the career, it's the job. Yeah. And I kind of see it from the other end now, because I actually do branding is very much associated with, feelings, how other people feel about you. And we can get into that in a little bit later. But culture and the way the team environment is that's part of branding. And so it's funny now because I see it from both ends. It's not always, hey, I hate working the 9 to 5. Like me, I liked routine. I liked routine. My biggest thing was I would learn everything I could possibly learn at a job. And like 3 months, I was just one of those people that I loved to learn. I loved to grow. And so certain things just became easier for me when it came to evolving, like learning certain systems, building stuff. I remember at my last job, um, within 3 months, I was I had about twice as many jobs done as anyone else there within that 3 month period. I think I was at like 160 and they were at like 80 to 90. It wasn't even close. And I was like, I wasn't even working full days, man. I was already trying to pad my time because I was the only one in Arizona. So I was, so I was like, so long story short, all my other coworkers were either in two different states. And so they're all 3 hours ahead of me. And so they all left quite early in the day. But I was like, hey, if I get all my work done and I'm outperforming everyone tenfold, like, why would I? Like, even doing that, I was like, I'm still outbeating everyone. And so that was one of those situations where I just realized I get bored easy. I like change. I like evolution. I like stuff. And when you're at a corporate environment for a very long period of time, unless you're working for a small business where there's ever changing stuff, you're pretty much probably staying in the same position for at least a year, 2 years, 3 years before you have a chance to move up to the next spot. And so it becomes very, very much repetition, which nothing wrong with that if people like it. But I think from an entrepreneur mindset, you just like change. I hated the fact that I had to go in and, very similar to this podcast, right? Sometimes you just don't feel like doing stuff. And there's nothing wrong with at 9 and 10 in the morning if you're like, man, I just can't do this. Like I just can't go for a run right now, or I just can't, work right now. And I liked the ability to be able to work when my mind worked because I knew I could get twice as much done if I was in the mood compared to if I was not in the mood. So I think the back to your point of entrepreneurs just, hating the 9 to 5 grind. I don't think, because I'll be honest, entrepreneurship, it's a nonstop. It's a nonstop. It's very similar, funny enough, to an athlete's regiment. And that's why I really push to athletes and kind of teaching them the importance of understanding, hey, you're building a lot of this stuff in the game already. Let's take that and leverage that to help you grow business, because you kind of see it all the time with athletes as well. It's that concept of hey, you really have to, have a regimen of time and you have to do certain things, and you won't necessarily see the benefit of those things for, a long period of time. But yeah, back like to what you said about the entrepreneurship side. I think it varies for everyone. Um, but I definitely work. I'm a work smart, not hard kind of guy. But uh, I I don't work 9 to 5. I probably work more than that, but it varies. And not all that work is like sitting down and grinding in it. It's other things like just driving or going to events or going to meetings or stuff that you're not actually doing work.